Okay, so I am going to discuss my usability test. I'm going to first hit all of the questions that were asked and intended to hit upon and go through those. And then I'm going to include a snippet of a recording that I had one of my peers to take when accessing the course website. So, beginning with the first question, how are your stakeholders, peers able to navigate the introduction, overview, start here section of your course, and how are they able to navigate to and engage in a short activity from the first module? So, they can navigate the introduction, overview, start here by accessing the link from the web page, and I'll go ahead and go there. This is what it will look like. Of course, it looks different for them on their end. But if I was to go into a learner mode, and like I said, I will go to the video where one of my peers did. Let's go from the beginning to the overview. So this is what it looks like. It looks the exact same whenever she accessed it. And you would just go through it. As mentioned, I like this setup because it allows students to take accountability because they cannot move on without completing the task at hand. Okay. So they will. What I would do is let me go back and just initially show what I am talking about. How they would access that is I would invite my users. I can put in their email and they would get an email where they would click and come into the classroom with the key code. Or I could just copy this and send it directly to their email. Let's say if my classroom is in Google Classroom or some sort, or for her, I sent it through a text message and I sent an email and she received it both ways. Um, and they can then engage in a short activity, the introduction discussion after assessing the sections, which are addressed in the sections. So what I mean by that is as they go through, I want to say here, they're going to click complete. Let's continue. That as well. I actually think it's back more this way when I'm discussing. Okay, before you start the unit 1, please complete the introduction discussion as your attendance for the start of class, and then they would just have to go back to the overview of and go to discussions and then the introduction discussion to complete that. So that will be their short activity for the first module. How long will your usability test last? It lasts exactly, if I'm not mistaken, if I could, let's see if I can go to it. Let's see if it's, so this is it. The video, I will actually show a snippet of it in just a second, but as you can see, the time is 29:36, so we were very close to about 30 minutes. So it can last between 20 and 30, which was accurate for us during the testing. What are the criteria for the activity that you want your testers to do? I do want them to go through the course until they reach the end. They will then give specific feedback on the LMS usability. I received great feedback from both of the peers. How will your testers report back? I actually was able to record using Screencast-O-Matic for one peer, and the other peer, she was just very busy today. So I was able to just debrief with her after she was able to go through the course after I sent her the link to her email. Whom are you planning to participate in the usability testing? I am planning to have a math teacher and an actual student to participate. The alternate plans would be to reach out to another campus math educator, and so that is what I actually had to do. I was not able to reach a student, so I had another educator to use the course today, which why it was last minute and she wasn't able to. I wasn't able to record her, and she had to do it throughout her day. Reflect on who you were able to have conduct the usability testing. I had actually had two colleagues, two educators. I was able to get the right people, and their feedback was very it was very big and critical on improving my LMS. What impact did your platform have on the testing results? Although my platform is Talent LMS in Google Classroom, there was a great impact because I'm actually excited that I was able to use my recorded peer first, because we did run into some issues in the usability test, which I needed to make corrections, and I'll talk about that in just a second. I just want to make sure I hit all those questions that were needed or expected. What were the lessons you learned from the usability test and feedback? The lessons that I learned was to stick to one platform and use a platform that can handle all aspects of the expectations. Also, I needed to do a testing, and I'll explain that in a little bit, what I mean by that. What have you done to your design to address the usability issues revealed in the testing? I have tried to incorporate Google Classroom, and that worked fine. The issue was the actual LMS platform itself. For some reason, there were issues with one of my users logging in, and it would not allow me. She was able to access the LMS and everything. It was more so on my end as an instructor that I was not able to give her the access to move on, because like I stated, this platform will not let students move on if I do not go in and grade it and give them permission to move on. And I'll talk about that the last 5 to 7 minutes of my recording. So how has this process improved your course and your learner's experience? So this was really great. I will take this with me moving forward with any technology that I implement in my classroom. I think it's very important. I think usability tests are very important, just so you won't have those hiccups, and you will have something it will run smoother than having to stop class or receive emails and hinder students from moving on from the experience. Of course, the process has improved my course simply because I love the release of each unit. For instance, it allows students to take accountability for not completing units because it's created based on the release of the completion, and students cannot move on without satisfying tasks within each unit. Also, the feedback allowed me to go in and reconfigure some things and figure it out, because we did have hiccups with my first peer going through the usability. And how has the testing impacted your alignment of outcomes, activities, and assessment? The testing has impacted my alignment very little, because everything was aligned by the unit and team space. Yes, that is the case, but I had to go back and just do some small training. As you guys can see, the Talent LMS that I use, I did have to come here to the help center and just figure out my thing was the submission. So I was able to click this in. I was having issues how to view the learner's assignment submission because it wouldn't allow the first peer to go through. And so boom, I was able to get that feedback based on their help center and make those configurations. I want to now go to show a snippet of how the video went, and I think it's not allowing me to capture that. I don't see it in the video. I will, that's what I'll do. I'll just post the video how it went, but just to go over, Miss Nikita Green was my first peer to take part in the usability, and she went through the overview, the introduction, the start here. She went through the unit breakdown as far as the TEKS, what to expect. When we got to the very first assignment, which was linked to the Google Classroom. Let me try to go in here and show what I am saying. When she got here, she went to the Google Classroom and she had to come back and she had to reply. And for some reason, it was not allowing me to go in and check her off. To allow her to move on. So that was the issue at hand that we were having for that. And in the video, you can see where I was just struggling because I could not understand. As you can see, I have four, right here, I had 4 users come in, and it was just for some reason at the time blocking me for accessing their work to allow them to move on in the course. So that's the hiccup we have. However, like I explained, I went to the help section of the Talent LMS. I was able to read through, and I would say feedback from myself is I would take all trainings on a platform before releasing it and implementing it into my classroom. Let's see. So basically, this is it, how I fixed it. I think I pretty much went through everything that I was supposed to. You can see right here that I did have users log in, and that this is the course. I'm going to see if it allow me to play her. All right. Okay, so today we have Miss Nikita Green. She's a 4th grade math teacher, educator as well. And I'm going to use Miss Green feedback as my usability test for the LMS that I have created for 4th grade math. Okay, so I'm just going to read over something, Ms. Green, before we get started and allow you to go through the website. So conducting a usability test for users to try a website that I built for my students to see if it works as intended, using the feedback from people who this is familiar with. So this session should take about 20 to 30 minutes, if that, just based on the descriptive and specific feedback that you give. So just to be clear, I'll be testing the site, not you. So I'm not testing you, so you cannot be wrong in nothing that you say or any feedback that you give. But as you're using the site, I'm going to ask that you think out loud and to say what you're looking at, what you're trying to do, and what you're thinking. So as you're going through everything, I just want you to kind of like talk back with me. What are you viewing? What do you see? What don't you understand? Also, don't worry about hurting my feelings, because I'm doing this to improve the LMS, which stands for the Learning Management System. So I need to hear your honest reaction. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me while we're going through this. Before we get started, do you have any questions? No. Okay. So basically, just as if we were in college and working on Blackboard, I have created my LMS using Talent LMS for my 4th grade math students. And so you're just going to go through the course, and the only thing I have built is the introduction, the overview, the start here page, and then unit 1, and then just a little bit of unit 2. When you get to unit 1, you'll see that you'll have to like switch over to another platform, Google Classroom for one of the assignments. So I'm going to allow you to get started to go through the website, the LMS. And like I said, just kind of like think out loud as you're going through this. Just talk out loud. Okay. Got it. So I'm starting with unit 1. I just click there. No, so this is the overview. So there's going to be like Okay, so that was just very brief. I'll go ahead and post that, but just so before I end the recording, Miss Nikita Green was my first peer. We ran into some issues with the platform not allowing me to go